Welcome to the Castle of Spirits podcast, Extrasode number 8. This is brought to you by castleofspirits.com, where we've got 4,600 and growing true reader and listener submitted ghost stories dating all the way back from 1997.
That's a long time ago.
And today we are going to be reading some of those stories.
Mm-hmm.
Jane, do you have a story to share with me and the fine folks today?
You and that radio announcer voice, man.
Came with a microphone.
Yeah, that's what you keep saying. I do, in fact. And I think I actually have 2 stories today. And
that's okay. That's all right.
One of them's fun. One of them's gruesome. Let's get the gruesome out of the way. How about
gruesome fun? Gruesome fun.
Mm-hmm. So this first story I'm going to read is called Little Old Lady Creature. And it was submitted by Anonymous in the USA, October of 2004.
That is a great title. I'm eager to listen to this.
It's a horrifying title, and it only gets worse. You ready?
I'm so ready. I can't believe it.
Wow. This is a true story about my mom when she was a little girl, and I would really like to share it with you. Thank you, Anonymous. We appreciate it. Since this thing in the story has no English name and is not well known because it's from Thailand, I will do my best to describe it to you. This, quote, little old lady is not your typical old lady. She's like a zombie that has returned from the dead and is in the form of flesh and, I suppose, cold blood.
What?
Yeah. She's always very old and female. Her eyes are slanted vertically, not horizontal like you and I. So I picture her eyes kind of going up and down rather than side to side. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's gross. Her hair is long and black, reaching and sweeping the ground beneath her. Her fingers are clumped together, kind of like a lobster claw. It looks like this, and then they kind of describe how to do it. Lay your fingers out, palms facing you. Take your ring finger and put it on top of your pinky.
I already can't do that. Okay, I did it.
You have to curl your ring finger a bit to make it stay put. Then put your middle finger on top of your ring finger. And lastly, put your index finger on top of your middle finger.
Oh.
So everything is basically wrapped around your pinky finger.
So we're talking a zombie with rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah, that's kind of what I pictured, was a hand that's fairly crippled from rheumatoid arthritis. She's very short, only 3'4". And lastly, her feet are backwards. Another type has the feet on different legs, like left feet on right leg and vice versa. She's said to take little children away and eat them or make them her own, kind of like a witch. She does take grown men and women as well and is not limited to children. She's believed to live deep in the thick, untouched forest of Southeast Asia, along with many other, quote, things. I love the word things in reference to paranormal, because it really lets your imagination kind of go wild. Like if you say ghoul, that kind of calls to mind something very specific, and I don't think it's as creepy, but when you call something a thing.
Right. It's like, it's one of the most simplistic words that can take on a horrifying meaning.
Yeah.
For example, I've got lots of things in the top drawer of my desk. That's okay. There are lots of things living in the forest that scare me at night. That's not good.
That might be a little bit better, but there are things that live in the basement.
Nope.
That's not a good one.
Yeah, no.
All right. One day, my mom, who was very little back then, about 5 years old, went to the farm with my grandpa and grandma. The farm area is located miles away from the village. The only way to reach the farm was by foot, so you must go early so you can leave early before the sun sets. When they reached the farm, my grandpa saw something near the cornfield in a hunched position. He assumed it was a scarecrow until he saw it move. He then pointed it out to my mom and grandma. My mom had no clue of what that thing could be. Its black hair covered the whole back of it, and it was very short, like a little kid. My mom thought it was a little girl and decided to run towards it to play with her. As she ran closer to it, my grandpa shouted in a loud voice for her to run back. The thing heard my grandpa and spun around. My mom, for the first time, saw this unhuman thing which still haunts her to this day. Its odd, freaky eyes were in the wrong position. Its dry, white, wrinkly skin, its claw-like fingers and backward feet. My mom was frozen with fear as that thing walked closer to her. Its lips were stained with dry blood, and its eyes seemed to hypnotize her. She couldn't move or run. Then my grandpa grabbed a stick and ran towards that old lady thing. The old lady seemed frightened and ran into the cornfields. My grandpa then grabbed my mom, and they all walked quickly home in silence. When they reached the village, my grandpa gathered other men, and they all headed to the farm in search of this thing. The old lady can be killed, but must be burnt so it does not return again. When they reached the farm, it was dark. The men separated and searched the whole area but found nothing. Then a man went into the nearby woods to urinate. Upon reaching it, he screamed. So this part of the story gets a little graphic, and I think I might soften it a bit. So there's a link in the show notes if you want to get all of the gory details.
Well, you already said urinate, so that's...
I did talk about pee a little bit. Upon reaching it, he screamed. There in front of him was the dead body of a little boy, and I'll skip over that. They quickly buried the body and concluded that it was the old lady who did this. The men were very frightened by now, and they all ran home and never looked back as they rushed through the old lonely path back to the village. So again, thank you to Anonymous in USA, October of 2004, for submitting Little Old Lady Creature.
That was terrifying. We have almost 5,000 stories on the site, so we don't know of all the things that are on the shelves of this castle library that we've come into possession of. But
there's some grim stuff, and we would like more grim stuff. You too can get your story in the castle library. Just go to castleofspirits.com/submit and tell us your most terrifying paranormal encounters.
Just as Anonymous did in May of 2006 in the story that I'm going to read. This one's called Figure on the Porch. Back in the early 80s, my aunt lived in a house that was literally located in the middle of nowhere. It used to really creep my younger brother and me out, but we loved to go there because my aunt had 4 children. The house was very old, and it had all wooden floors. There always was an uneasy feeling when you were inside. For the most part, not much happened that was out of the ordinary when we were there. There were a lot of noises during the night, though. On several occasions, I heard floorboards creaking, as if someone were walking around. Most of this seemed to be coming from upstairs, and sometimes in the hallway downstairs that connects the front of the house to the back rooms. Sometimes I also heard a thumping sound from upstairs at night. The thing is, no one stayed upstairs, ever. There was just a spare room, a bathroom, and some storage space. My aunt's room was downstairs, and we all stayed in a room down the hall from her. I told myself that the sounds were caused by the wind, or the fact that the house was old and really never thought twice about it. I refused to ever go upstairs, though. The thought that the place could be haunted never really crossed my mind. Really?
I mean, I'm kind of getting the vibe that you thought this place was haunted, bro.
I just thought it was a creepy old house. That is, until one night.
Uh-oh.
Bedtime had come a long time ago, but us being kids, we stayed awake and goofed off for a while. Eventually, though, we all fell asleep. This night, I seemed to have a lot of trouble staying asleep, though. I kept waking up periodically for no apparent reason. On about the 4th time waking up, I thought I felt a poke at the heel of my foot, which was what woke me. I rolled over and looked around the room, but nothing was out of the ordinary. I lay back down and tried to go back to sleep. After I had laid there for about 5 minutes, I started to hear a tapping sound. I listened for a minute, and that was when I realized that the sound was coming from underneath my bed.
Oh, that's not where you want sounds to come from.
No.
Mm-mm.
I was too afraid to look under it, so I just tried to ignore it and go to sleep. After almost 10 minutes of tapping, it suddenly stopped. What happened next, I will never forget for as long as I live. There was a lone window in the room, and at night, the curtains were pulled back. I was facing the window, and just moments after the tapping stopped, a white, transparent figure slowly moved past the window from right to left. It seemed to be walking on the front porch, which covered the entire front of the house. The figure appeared to have a glow to it, kind of like the moon, but needless to say, I was horrified. I froze in terror with my eyes fixed on the window. Fortunately, I didn't see it again. I tried to rationalize what I had just seen, but I couldn't. We were in the middle of nowhere. There were no roads, no cars, no nothing. Just a long dirt road and a bunch of trees. Everyone else was asleep, so I was the only one who saw it. I was too scared to sleep after that, so I just lay there for the rest of the night. The next morning, I was thinking about what I'd seen, and I remembered that sometimes my aunt would hang clothes out to dry on the front porch. This must have been what I had seen, right? So I asked her at breakfast if she had left any clothes on the porch last night. She said she hadn't dried anything at all. There was no other explanation for what I had seen. Honestly, I really didn't think a sheet would ever look like that anyway. This thing's movement was too animated to be a sheet. I guess I just wanted to believe that it was a sheet. After this incident, I didn't want to stay there anymore. But luckily, they moved not long after that anyway. To this day, I believe that there was something paranormal there, because there's just no other explanation, and I was definitely awake. Well, I believe you, Anonymous, from May of 2006, figure on the porch, creepy. I like that story because it reminds me a little bit about our last episode, the Black-Eyed Children.
Mm-hmm.
Something moving on the porch, tapping, could have been a child.
It could have been a black-eyed child, could have dodged a bullet there.
But under the bed?
Yeah, that's creepy. I think my defense mechanism would be to just curl up tight in a ball, completely cover myself with blankets, and hold really, really still.
Oh my God. That, everybody, was the castle wolf.
She has a very large bark.
So I think that maybe we just freaked out our dog.
Yeah, she got scared by the ghost stories.
I don't know if I want to read any more stories, but I think you said you had one left.
I do. I have one more left.
Okay, well, let me get my rhythm back. Anybody got a defibrillator out there?
This one's
It strikes your mouth first. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
This one's called The Ghost That Said Boo.
I like it.
Submitted by Megan in Montana in June of 2012. We had just moved into a new house located in Hot Springs, North Dakota. The house was a decent size, containing 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a living room, a kitchen, and a cellar, which I never stepped foot into. And I'm here to say, Vince, that is the best plan of action. Don't go in the cellar. Like, I've never been in the crawl space of our own house here.
You don't want to go.
Mm-mm. My room was on the top floor, right where I wanted it to be. As you open the creaky wooden door, there are 12 stairs leading up to my bedroom. The stairs creak just as bad as the door does. Once to the top of the stairs, there's a window to the right which overlooks the wooded area behind our new home. Entering further into the bedroom, you have to watch your step because the ceiling is tilted at an awkward angle, which in a lot of times resulted in a hurt head. I also had a small bathroom of my own, which I was very happy to have. I loved my new room from the moment I saw it, yet something didn't feel right about it. After placing some suitcases onto the floor, I headed into the bathroom and closed the door. I was just about to start brushing my teeth when I heard the stairs creaking. I slowly turned the water off and set my toothbrush down. Maybe I was just hearing things. Then suddenly, the creaking started again, and I could hear the creaking get louder as it neared toward the top of the stairs. My pulse increased rather quickly, and I was about to panic until I thought of something. My mom. She likes to sneak up on me sometimes to give me a scare so she can get a good laugh in return. I wasn't about to let her scare me this time, though, so I unlocked the bathroom door, swung the door open, and yelled, "Boo!" as loud as I could. No response. I poked my head around the corner to get a view of the steps, and to my surprise, there was no one there. I quickly shut the bathroom door again and started to feel creeped out. And that's when the creaking started again. My heart jumped into my throat and I felt like I was going to choke. Trying to be brave and still thinking it was my mom cleverly trying to trick me, I flung the door open again and yelled, "Boo!" Again, no response. I poked my head around the corner a second time, and to my surprise, there was still no one on the steps. Now that I was scared and frantic, I rushed back into the bathroom and locked the door behind me. Not a moment later, the creaking started again. Except this time, the creaking moved beyond the stairs. It was headed straight towards the bathroom, whatever it was. I stood there shaking, not knowing what would happen next. Right before I was getting ready to yell for my mom, the creaking stops by the bathroom door, and then suddenly I hear a soft little whisper. "Boo." I flung the door open and took off running down the stairs as fast as my legs could carry me. I was terrified, mainly because it was the voice of a small child, and no children lived with us.
Oh, God.
I was 19 at the time. So thank you, Megan, in
That's it?
In Montana for submitting that in June of 2012. I thought that story was...
Megan, you've had 11 years to update us on this story. Where's the update?
Yeah,
what happened?
We need an update, Megan. We need to know if anything like this ever happened again. We need more details. We want all of the details about living in that house. But I thought that story was fun. It was sweet and silly. It was also creepy as hell.
I tell you, that's a dangerous game that mom's playing.
Mm-hmm.
Because that stuff can turn around and bite you.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty soon you're 85 years old and your 65-year-old daughter is coming up trying to scare you. And then next thing you know, you're face to face with the spirits. But it's a game that you and I are quite familiar with because you enjoy...
Yeah, but I haven't done it to you in a long time. You've been scaring me lately.
Jane enjoys trying to give me the occasional coronary.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened yet.
See, here's the thing. He thinks it's all funny when he startles me, but if I startle him, he gets all mad and talks about how, oh, my left arm hurts.
Well,
I mean, he is substantially older than me, so it's possible that his time is near, but
what about you? Every time when I scare you, you're the last person to laugh. You fall down and...
Oh, I do not fall down.
Did you start crying one time?
No, shut up. Anyway. I liked that story. I thought it was fun.
Just don't get any ideas from that stupid... And besides...
I'm getting ideas from you startling me.
Who says boo when they scare somebody? You don't say boo, you go, ah! You know, that's... You have to come up with something interesting. Or
you, his favorite one is... He'll startle me and he just gets this stupid grin on his face and he goes, hello. And I don't know, something about it.
It's
really usually
works.
Because he's like crouching down and he's like 2 feet tall and he's like, hello. And it terrifies me every single time.
It's not like that.
Yeah,
what I do is, and everybody at home should try this with somebody, but try it with somebody that's in relatively good cardiovascular health. That's my recommendation. When they're in the bathroom, get on your knees in front of the bathroom door. So when they swing it open, you just look up at them and say, hello.
Yeah. And then they kick you square in the face.
That has never happened yet.
It's about to.
So what you do is you put your, you get
in a boxing stance.
Right. In a peekaboo style boxing stance so that when they do lash out at you, it's not going to hurt too bad. And you can still continue to laugh.
I think if you have to get into a boxing defensive stance before you startle someone, maybe the best course of action is to not startle someone.
That's never an option. But like I said, make sure the other person is in good health because otherwise it could end in tears.
One day I'm going to share the video with the Castle friends of that time that you were sitting at your computer and I startled you and I thought you were going to murder me. You were so angry.
Well, don't get the wrong idea, guys. It's not like I was at my computer playing a video game. I was working. I was writing. I was, creative writing. Mm-hmm. It's nighttime. Mm-hmm. I've got some atmospheric music on, glass of wine within reach.
Yeah.
I pick it up. I go to take a sip, and suddenly she descends upon
behind
me.
him.
Well, maybe we'll have to show them.
I'll dig up that video. I'll post it one of these days. Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that. And if you have stories about scaring other people just for fun, let us know about it.
And if you have video of it, even better.
Hey, why not?
Yeah.
It's fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of fun stuff, take a look at castleofspirits.com. Read up through all those thousands of stories that we have collected over the last 26 odd years and let us know what your favorites are. And we can read them here on a future episode of the podcast.
Yeah. If you come across a story in the archive, that's a good idea. If you come across a story in the archive that you really like, that you want us to read, send us a note in the lounge and include the link to the story. Just castleofspirits.com/lounge. We definitely take story requests. Topic requests as well. And finally, don't forget that if you want to know what topics are coming up in future episodes, you should subscribe to our email list. We do not spam you. We don't send out a ton of emails, but we do let you know when new shows drop and when we have call outs for future episodes. We won't be posting on social media saying what episodes are coming up next. Only on our mailing list. So get it.
So get in on the cool ghost club and, I don't know, come ghost with us.